Okay, I will answer your question in two parts. At AUC, we don't refer to the student life as extracurricular. Actually, it is co-curricular. Co-curricular means that the co-curricular life is equal and as important as the academic life. And in fact, students have a double life. And they complement each other and they add value to each other. So we produce a holistic student. Now, of course, COVID-19 has impacted co-curricular life. But you know, our students here are very clever. We are doing a lot of activities online. Say, for example, the debate society. Instead of doing debates in a hall or in a location, now, of course, they're using Zoom to do their debates. Community service organizations, they go out of AUC. So they're still doing activities off campus as much as they can. And we also allow students to continue their co-curricular life, which is the strategic planning. You know, at the beginning of every year, each student organization has to design a strategic plan to tell us what are they going to do for the semester. And so we allow them to come here on campus with permission, that they meet together, the president and the vice president of the student organization. Say we have an organization like astronomy or an organization like robotics, so they design their plan and they do it, face-to-face meetings, but then the actual activities are all online or off campus, depending on the nature of the student organization. Well, first of all, I just want you to know we have very, very few classes. About 5%, 5 or to 7% of our classes are face-to-face. And this is done to ensure the safety of students and the health of all of the community. Now, I think you've seen when you've come into AUC, you must have noticed signs everywhere. Wear a mask, social distancing in outdoors 1 meter. And so we've done a lot of this. Signage is all over the university. We also took care of the face-to-face classes where students come in, they sit 2 meters apart, even though you know, the guidelines of CDC and the WHO is 1, but we have doubled that for extra safety. And then after every class is over, we sanitize, we clean it, so that when the next group comes into a classroom, it is all very, it's taken care of. So we have done all kinds of measures. Then that's one part of it. The other part of it I don't know if you've heard of our tracking, tracing, and testing. You have. It's the fabulous system. We're making sure that if anyone is not feeling well, we will take care of the student, the faculty, or the staff. Well, I think the latter, adapting. Of course, you know, students tell me, Dr. Dina, I miss AUC. I wish I could come. I want to sit in the plaza and so on. So they miss the campus, there's no doubt. But at the same time, our students, this generation, they're very clever. They are adapting to online learning. And of course, you know, we did, the rest of the spring semester was online. We did the summer semester all online. So I think our faculty and professors are now much more experienced in online teaching and learning, and so are our students. But everyone wants to come back. We face challenges because of COVID-19, and I think COVID-19 is also a silver lining. Some of our challenges were, you won't believe, some of our processes were all face-to-face. For example, payment of fees. So the students were used to coming, doing it we have a branch of CIB here on the campus, and they used to stand in the student accounting office in lines to pay or to show that they have paid. Now we had to suddenly convert all of these systems to online. So that was a challenge because, as you know, to digitize different administrative processes takes time. And of course, when you first launch it, there are bugs that you have to work out. So that was one of the challenges. But I think that's the silver lining, as I said. It was a challenge, but great for the future. I want to talk about students of this generation. It's not just AUC students. I think most of this generation, whether they are AUC students or non-AUC students, they are tech friendly. Their mobiles now are almost an extension of their hands. So I do believe that this is a generation that live on their mobiles and their laptops. So it is not about that, but because this is their life. I think what is different as a result of COVID is online learning. The ability to learn online is very, very different from being familiar and loving technology. I think all students love technology. That's the difference. And I think with COVID-19, and I mentioned the silver lining, and I'm going to say it again, I don't think everything is going to go back as it was 100%. A lot will go back. But maybe some things that are great that we should keep. In fact, one of my lovely colleagues, a physics professor, he was telling me that he's considering that maybe when in the next semester or whenever we go back face to face, that he will keep his lectures online, and then when the students come to his classes, it is more of an open discussion and a Q&A, and it's not about as the old method was, where students listening to him and writing notes and asking questions. So I do think that it could change the methodology also of teaching and learning, what we call a hybrid model. AUC, for the pandemic, we were in a very, very strong position to launch our online learning almost in a few weeks. That is, back in March, when the pandemic really hit Egypt, we were equipped to train all our faculty with the different digital tools that we had already available, and we did add more to our repertoire of digital platforms and programs. So we expanded what we had, trained the faculty, and we were able to start to change the face-to-face semester completely to online. Did we face challenges? Yes. That wasn't easy. Some faculty needed to learn from scratch, from the very beginning, and students themselves, in order to go from face-to-face to learning through screens, is not that easy. So it was a challenge, but we were very well positioned regarding our systems here at AUC, and it worked. Alhamdulillah, it really worked well. I have to say, regarding freshmen, you're right. Freshmen are a little bit at a disadvantage starting their first semester at AUC without seeing their professors and not seeing the campus. So what we did, we have always a 3-day orientation for the first year students, the fresh students. So what we did was we did all their first year program orientation online. That was very, very successful, and we intend to continue these sessions online, inshallah, for our next batch of freshmen 2021. But what we did was we had a whole day on the ground for them. We had approximately 1,200 freshmen. So on one day we got 600, and another day 600. We made sure that they were divided into groups of 200, and we spread them apart. We have a big campus, and we took them all over the campus. We had student organizations with their booths and trying to attract the students to come to join their club or their association. So this worked very well. So the students saw the campus for the first time. They saw other students, and we hope as a result of this they would join the co-curricular activities and have a great student experience, even though a lot of it is online. Yes, they are not. Maybe it's their fate to come in their first semester in COVID. But again, I think it is a very unique experience for them, and they will always be able to remember their experience as not having met their professors face to face, and then. Can you imagine the following semester when they actually meet some of them face to face? It would be very interesting to ask them. Of course, that's what I had a problem at home myself. The connectivity was an issue for everyone. I think I met a couple of days ago with the Dean of Students. We met the Parents Association. We have a Parents Association at AUC, and the parents were telling us, I am spending so much now on internet and on extra support for my children studying. So of course it's like what AUC had to do to spend an extra budget on the IT platforms and what we need to do to deliver online courses. The same for parents. Now what we did was for the students in need, students like they're on scholarship. Now these students, of course, we help them. The students who from the very beginning, they are on scholarship. We provided them internet devices, and we also provided, if needed, laptops for them to study online. Yeah, I think we're doing fine so far regarding online learning for this semester. I think the establishing the rapport is going to be a little different compared to spring, because in spring, if you remember, we went online in March, so the professors and students already had a month. They got to know each other, and they met each other face to face. So the challenges for this fall is that completely on the screen, not able to meet each other, whether students in the class or the professor and the students. This can be mitigated to a certain extent, where faculty will have and can make the decision if they need to see a student face to face. That's possible. Sometimes students need help. Sometimes the faculty believes that they need to bring the student in to their office here on campus, an individual student who needs some kind of support or some mentoring. So we do have these in place, but of course it's a challenge. It's not very easy, but we have to cope, and I think we're doing reasonably well. Well, we still, I mean, again, within each academic course, of course, there are lots of skills, the content and life skills embedded. But as I was saying, that we still have the student organization, student activities going on online. And this is where students develop their life skills, their passions. So because of the way we've designed AUC academic life and co-curricular life complement each other, I think it's going fine, because both are online. Yes, we all have to acknowledge it is not 100% the same as face-to-face, but it's still happening. There is some learning and some development of skills. We still have leadership. I mean, student organization leaders are still working in their clubs and so on. So we are still developing. They are developing. It's not we do it for them. It is a lot of student activities are student-led, which is the beauty of what student life is at AUC. We don't have the administration always doing everything for students. They do, and they learn. Well, looking at the schools from K to 12, I think education has taken a huge leap forward. Dr. Tariq Shawi, and I have the honor of working with Dr. Tariq as his advisor for curriculum and assessment. We were pushing for electronic exams for grades 10, 11, and 12, for example. Wow, when COVID came, that was ready-made. We were already implementing this. We had learning materials on the Egyptian Knowledge Bank, and we have online assessments in place. And so the year where the students completed grades 10 and 11, and the Thanawiya Amma, as you know, was conducted face-to-face because of the test security and cheating, and there is no way around that. So COVID-19 was, in a way, another silver lining, a blessing for the K to 12 schools, where now students are now able to embrace the idea of using tablets. Of course, we don't have tablets for all the children, but then the teachers now, especially for this coming semester, the teachers are now busy. That's why they postponed the beginning of the school year, whether it's the universities or the schools, to October 17th, so to give a chance to the professors and to the teachers at school to record their lessons, their sessions, and then use platforms, whether it's television for students who do not have access to laptops or Wi-Fi, and for students who have access, they can also get the teachers' lessons and learn. So it will be a mixed model for schools K to 12, a hybrid, where the students will go a couple of days to school and then study online. And the same, I believe, for the universities. It will be the very similar approach. So this has jumped or pushed education in Egypt into the 21st century, where you it's going to be a hybrid model. I believe this will continue, and this is added value to education, where you cannot not do without face to face. I do believe that computers will not replace me as a teacher, but it will augment. It will add value and quality to to education and teaching and learning. The online learning has the advantages that you can teach students, first of all, how to learn how to learn. That's one very important skill. Another thing, it adds value in terms of we no longer have to stick to one book, one content. Content can be done through what we call uploaded through digital learning objects on the platform that they are learning from. So it gives them a wide source of or resource. They look at different sources. We are moving the thinking away from it's one book, the source of all knowledge and information, to something much wider. They can access videos, they can access all kinds of images. So it's enrichment of learning, in my opinion. Online learning has, the online resources will be of added value going forward. Employment it requires a set of skills, and we're talking about life skills. Whether it is at the university like AUC, we provide a lot of we provide what we call the co-curricular experience, where students develop all the life skills they will need in parallel with their academic life for the job market. For schools, it's very similar, that with online learning, they will be able to start learning on their own, as I said. These independent skills are needed in any employment. Hopefully, it will enhance their university life when they leave school and go to university. I think the pandemic has impacted educators in a positive and negative way. Positive that some of my colleagues and professors have embraced it, in the sense of, teaching from home can be an advantage, because, if people live at a very great distance and coming every day and having to travel a couple of hours going and coming, it saves time, and I think it will decrease the need to come daily. That's number one. And it's not just about the journey, it's also about the tools that we have at our disposal, the online tools and the online resources that has enriched learning. I believe that this is a real positive value added to our current system. And moving forward, I don't think we'll ever go back to as it was purely. The new normal will be, I think, the added value of using technology in education. I don't want to quite say a hybrid model where it'll be some education, some classes will be online and the rest not. I think we will eventually go back to face-to-face, but I do believe that the methodology will change in terms of the learning resources. Teachers and professors will use a lot of online resources, more than they did before, as well as the fact that students themselves are able to be empowered, especially at universities, to go beyond the resources that they know and go and learn far more. And this idea of looking beyond that very narrow view of a book, but going to digital learning objects, to me, is the added value of what has happened. So I do believe to summarize, our education model will be enriched with digital learning resources and with perhaps some elements of a hybrid model. I think educators, those who were very reserved regarding technology, a lot of them have embraced technology. It's very interesting how now they could see the value of technology, how they can embed it in how they're using it now and later on. So I think educators themselves have changed. And I think moving forward, a lot of them will use a little bit of what they have learned and gained from the COVID-19 experience, and at the same time also appreciate the value of the face-to-face, because it is never one or the other, in my opinion. I think the hybrid model is going to gain more traction in the coming years. That's, I mean, the idea of student engagement in online courses is really an excellent question, because you have to make sure that they're there. I think there are a variety of techniques. Some professors make sure that they are on the screen, because who knows, a student could be just like 5 minutes before the class, roll out of their bed in pajamas and just sit behind the screen without showing the video. So it is how you engage students online is also, it needs some, not training, some practice by educators, that they make sure that the students are there on the screen, insist that they open the videos. Another thing is that the assessments are different. A lot of professors now use one-to-one. That is, it's not about exams anymore, it's about talking to the students individually to make sure that they're learning. So there are a lot of techniques that professors use, a variety of them, to engage students, either as a group or as individuals. There is the Google Hangout, when you get students in groups, and then you as a professor, you go in and make sure that they're all talking to each other and discussing. So there are a lot of amazing online tools where you can engage students. It's pretty wonderful what the technology has enabled us to do these days. Yeah, the issue of testing for COVID-19 is all over the world. I mean, my own opinion, I think that testing is extremely important, but the problem is the most accurate test we have is the PCR, and it's quite expensive. And what now I've heard in the US, they're working on a saliva PCR, which is going to be much cheaper and much more available. I believe that testing is the way to help control the spread of COVID-19. But we need cheap tests that are accurate and reliable. So that's the dilemma that we have. At the end of the day, we're all waiting for the vaccine. But if you can imagine, if we have this today, this very accurate and cheap COVID-19 test. So anybody coming into an office or a place where we feel that it is, if coming to a university, you test the student, fine, he is okay, and the test should take a few minutes, then you're safe. You feel that everything is okay and people can come back and have the normal interaction as before. So to me, testing is very, very important, but we haven't reached that. Somehow the scientists haven't been able to produce this test that we need all over the world. I think, what is happening now is in a way supporting the reform of education in Egypt and higher education, because it is very hard in Egypt to change the education system. The resistance has been enormous. If you saw I think you've heard what happened, when we gave tablets to each student in grade 10 and 11, and the resistance, and it was it was very traumatic. So in a way, COVID-19 being forced, it was forced on the world, enabled Egypt to reform the education system by introducing technology into it much faster. So in a way, COVID-19 was, as I've said several times, is a silver lining and helped speed up the reforms that the Ministry of Education is doing, and also what is happening in higher education. They were also forced to add more, to use technology more at in the national state universities and the private universities. Thank you very much. I've very much enjoyed talking with you about what COVID-19 has done to education in Egypt. Thank you very much.